my true aha moment as my dream gets realized to have a one-on-one with ideal of our industry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited about today's session. And when I introduce you to who's joining us today, you all will be equally thrilled. I'm so glad and hugely honored to bring to you today Honorable Padma Vibhushan, National Research Professor, Dr. R.A. Mashelkar. Dr. Mashelkar has been the longest serving DG of CSIR, Chairman of National Innovation Foundation, and has been the President of Indian National Science Academy and Global Research Alliance. 42 universities from around the world have honored him with honorary doctorates. With many firsts to his credit, he has been the first Indian to win the most prestigious TWAS Lenovo Science Prize, which is considered as the mini Nobel Prize for Developing World Scientists. First Indian from India to be elected as Fellow of US National Academy of Inventors, first Asian scientist to win the Business Week Award of Stars of Asia, and the first and only scientist to win the JRD Tata Corporate Leadership Award. He is only the third Indian engineer to have been elected as Fellow of Royal Society since 1660, seventh Indian scientist to have been elected as Foreign Fellow of US National Academy of Science since 1863, and seventh Indian to have been elected as Foreign Associate of American Academy of Arts and Science since 1780. He was a member of the Scientific Advisory Council to the Prime Minister set up by successive governments for over 30 years. The President of India honored Dr. Mashelkar with Padma Shri, with Padma Bhushan, and with Padma Vibhushan. Once in a lifetime, I get to reach such accomplishments. Sir, thank you for making the time to grace our show, Insights with Nidhi Verma.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's such an honor, such a privilege to be on your series. I've seen people like Professor M.M. Sharma, my guru, an icon, appear on this, and several others. So it's wonderful to sort of join you, Nidhi, today.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll try to do justice to the time that you've given us for the benefit of the industry. The Prime Minister has proposed the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, sir. So it's about self-reliant India. But what does it really mean? Do we go back to the protective import substituting model of bygone years? Or is it something else? Is it truly new and exciting as it sounds? Please share your opinion on this, sir.
Oh, it is exciting. You know, Prime Minister has charged us with this responsibility of Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, which no matter what happens, the volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous world that we have, we stand firm, we stand tall. And it is not about protection, high tariff barriers. It is not about isolation, but it is integration. Integration in the global supply chain system. So it's about creating a new self-confident India, which integrates with the rest of the world and stands on its own.
Brilliant, sir. Thank you for sharing that. You mentioned about China in your talk at CII and said that it can't be China-less policy, but less China policy. What exactly do you mean by that? Because we are hearing so much of the boycott China movement. How will it affect the Indian industry? The contracts and the POs are getting cancelled, apps are getting banned. There's a huge outrage that is building up. What is your opinion on that, sir?
Yes. No, that's a very important point. You know, China had become the manufacturing hub for the whole world, and India was no exception. So we depend on China a lot. I mean, let me give you some figures. For example, if you look at pharma industry or active pharmaceutical ingredients, almost 70% of them we buy from China. Look at furniture, 57%, electronics, 45%, manufactured capital goods, 32%, and so on and so forth. Automotive parts, 25%. So the point is, overnight, you cannot say China-less. China-less means 0% from China.
Yes.
20%, you can't go to 0% overnight. We'll have to have a systematic strategy to make it less China, less and less, 70%, 50%, 30%, and finally 0%. It will take some time. And therefore, I'm happy that the government, for example, in the case of pharma industry, the government has taken a major initiative to start API parks, invest. CSIR has started activities because process chemistry and process engineering is our strength. We don't have to depend on them at all, actually. So I think that is what I mean by not no China, but less China. And many people talk about kind of China plus one. And we have seen basically, like apps. Okay, we call this an era of appification, just as we say digitalization, appification.
Yes, that's a good word.
Yeah, yeah. And there you saw that government overnight banned 59 apps, China apps. And you can see the impact on our own sort of, whether it was Chingari, whether it was Mitro, Bolo India, and there are so many of them that have actually sprung up. So it's a question of not just Atmanirbhar Bharat, but Atmavishwas, self-confidence that we can do it. I mean, look at PPEs, personal protection equipment, right? 70% of them we were buying from outside just 3 months ago. Today, we are able to export, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
You get the point. So, app example, PP example, I'm just giving to show that India can do it, actually. It's a self-determination, self-confidence, Atmavishwas.
Absolutely. So I think this crisis has been an opportunity for India, where all the hidden talent and what we were taking for granted as things were just going on, now we will plunge into action ourselves. So it is not a knee-jerk reaction, but it is China less means it's stably, gradually, it will come to a stable position with the substitutions. Agreed. You have enunciated as early as 1998 in your C.D. Deshmukh, very popular memorial lecture, sir, that you gave on economics of knowledge, a unique 5-point strategy that goes just beyond the make or buy option that everyone is talking about in current scenario. What is the relevance for this in the post-COVID Indian industry? Kindly throw some light on that.
Yes, yes. In 1998, in fact, 22 years ago, I had proposed this 5-pillar-based strategy. I think what is today happening today is that we are only about buying or making. Okay, buy or make. These are the 2 pillars on which we want Atmanirbhar Bharat. No, we want solid 5 pillars. And those 5 pillars are, first is make, the second is buy, the third is buy to make better, the fourth is make to buy better, and the fifth is making it together. So these are the strong 5 pillars on which we have to brace. Now, let me explain. Buying. If you have dollars and if somebody is willing to give you a technology, you can buy a technology. But that is not the case. My personal experience, because in this interview, I'm going to talk a lot about personal experience, not from reading textbooks, but a book of my own life, gone through so much, And I remember I was on the IPCL board and we wanted alpha olefin technology. Why did we want that? Because alpha olefin sulfonates were better detergents than linear alkyl benzene. And we went to Idemitsu, we went to Shell, we went to Chevron. None of them will give us the technology. I remember we wanted acrylic acid technology, from which we make actually the super absorbing polymers, which are used in diapers. Women asked, would not give us the technology. They put such hard conditions. Okay. So basically what I'm saying is that there was nothing strategic about either clothes washing or about baby diapers. And yet those technologies are available to us. Same thing about butyl rubber. For 40 years we tried, we didn't get the technology. Finally, Reliance was able to get it from a Russian source. So technologies are very guarded and they don't look at India as a bottomless pit of demand. They will look at us as competitors. So buying has that issue. The second is make. Now, I always said that Make in India we launched, but that Make in India has to be Make in India, but invent in India. Invention, innovation, research is very important. Let me give you examples. Like, for example, I have my iPhone, right? Now this iPhone is manufactured in China. Foxconn manufactures it.
Yeah.
For each one that is manufactured, you get the Foxconn gets $10. That means China takes away $10. Okay, but Apple takes away $250 for each one. So we have three options. First is spread it out and manufacture, get 4.5 million jobs like this, because we require jobs.
Yeah.
But get just $10. The other is think, create, innovate, and get that $250. But no, I mean, less jobs. What I would like to see is make in India, invent in India. That means not only you make, do that, get that $12, 4.5 million jobs, but also think and get that 250 made. And if we don't do that, make in India just becomes assembled in India. And if you look at Indian mobile manufacturing, I mean, we had Micromax, we had Carbon, they had 45% share. In 2019, it dropped to 7.5%, 45 to 7.5%. So somebody else must have taken the share. Who took the share? Chinese took the share.
Yes.
Because all these Xiaomi, Vivo, Oppo, etc., they started with 9% and went up to 68%. Okay, why? Because as far as Indian companies were concerned, they had just trading business models. They were importing these SKDs, semi-knockdown components, and assembling. No research, no innovation. Whereas Chinese companies, they were doing continuous innovation. They were specially designing those mobiles for specific customer needs, kept on improving, and so on and so forth. So I think there is no substitute that our Make in India has to be backed up with invention, innovation, research, etc., etc. Now, Make in India, and the government is trying very hard, and I must applaud them for all their efforts. But if you just see September 2019 report of Nomura, the Japanese, find out of 156 companies, only 3 wanted to come to India. Only. Okay. But today, 2020, the situation will be different. Because not made in China, I mean, there is an aversion about China, and we have a great sort of opportunity. So the point is, therefore, we have to fix up a few things, like Prime Minister himself has talked about the health, the land, the labor, the legislation, the logistics, input costs, etc., etc. We'll have to sort of get them right. And then we have a big opportunity for a simple reason. I have written a paper that is called Techno Nationalism to Techno Globalism. Okay. Nationalism to Techno Globalism. Yeah, and that is available on my website, www.mashelkar.com. Okay. Now, I've seen how these global partnerships in technology are developing, etc., etc. Nationalism is going away. The reverse is happening now. Techno nationalism is coming back. But it's not just techno nationalism. The techno-globalism will come back, but it will be selective techno-globalism. In a sense, people are looking at reliable partners, politically trustworthy partners. So, India is one. Just to give an example, for example, Britain, 5G, they have talked about the D10 club, where 7 partners are G7 countries, and the remaining 3 are India, Australia, and South Korea. So there will be new formation of these selective techno-globalism sort of clubs. And India has to not only have a position, but I hope India will lead in that. So that's the second part. Then the third is buy to make better. That means you buy technology, start manufacturing, and you become so superior that you become dominant players. I think transistor is a great example. Transistor was not Japanese technology. They were American patents, which were bought by Sony. And Sony became number 1 in transistor. Now, buying to make better also means technology. For example, technology acquisition, that we do. And post 1991, that became possible. Our companies started acquiring technology, not just for market access, but technology. Whenever you wanted technology, you not just license patents, but acquire a company. Similarly, components, buy to make better. You have to buy certain components from China. And if you just see, for example, the foreign value added, and look at China, for example, you know, foreign value added is because you use those components, there is an addition of value as a percentage. They were just 10% 2010. They're now 34.1%. That means one third of the value comes because of the China. Like Rajiv Bajaj said no on the other day. Mm-hmm. I export 15,000 crore, but I depend upon China for some 1,000 crore of components, 600 of his own and 400 from his vendors. Okay, they're important for him. So over the period of time, this very heavy dependence that we have to reduce. That's why I say, not China less, but less China. All right, that's applies here. Buying to make better, and then make to buy better. You know, strength respects strength. Since I talked about Olefin Sulfonate, the detergents not being available, I remember what we did. I was on the board at that time, and we said we'll start doing our own technology. It's chemistry. And I remember under Dr. Sivaram, there was a group who created a sort of a brilliant new technology. And then, as you know, in chemical technology, you move from laboratory scale, bench scale to pilot plant, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, the pilot plant proposal got turned down by the finance people. I bumped into somebody accidentally among these three companies. I will not name whom. One of the representatives, and he said, "We're closely watching you. We're closely watching you, and had you gone for the pilot plant, we would have the technology." Because then, I mean, in a sense, then there is a perception, there is a threat that they will become better than us. And there is a brilliant example from strategic sector. For example, if you look at 1987, I remember we wanted Param supercomputer. We went to Cray, you know, American company. They wouldn't give it to us. Then I remember, I was a member of Science Advisory Committee to the Prime Minister at that time. And we took a decision. $10 million was given, 3 years was given. Dr. Vijay Bhatkar, great man. Right here in Pune, he created CDAC, Center for Development of Advanced Computation. And based on parallel processing architecture, we created what we call as Param, the CDAC supercomputer, Param. And in 1991, when this was created, this was called Param 8000. You know, having done that, in 1992, we were able to export it to Russia and Canada. Right? And then we did Param 10,000, 100 gigaflops in 1998. Okay? That is the journey. And as soon as we did that, America removed restrictions on supercomputers. And the same thing, who had denied us the supercomputer, said, "You have to come and manufacture here." This is called making to buy better. That means you develop that strength. You get the point. And I remember Professor Sharma and myself, there was a very enlightened sort of secretary to the Ministry of Petrochemicals at that time, Lavraj Kumar. And I remember he's getting me and Professor Sharma involved in technology negotiations. Because at that time, public sector was dominant, no? And in those technology negotiations, what happens is that there is a Mark 1, then there is a Mark 2, then there is a Mark 3 technology. Normally, they will talk about Mark 2 and give you Mark 1. They will not give you Mark 3. But Professor Sharma and I knew what would be the Mark 3, and we would fight hard and so on and so forth. So I think developing that research competence, knowledge competence, there's no substitute to it. So these are the four. Make it together. Make it together is obvious. It is like public-private partnership. You know, today we all talk about vaccines. And we have the capability to do vaccines. The whole world is looking at us for manufacture of vaccine. You know, we have the capacity to build 4 billion vials. Nobody else in the world has. That is the power that we have. So, rotavirus vaccine, when it was developed, it was not something that was imported. Dr. Raj Bhan, then Dr. Gagandev Kang, you know, they did that, and 19 institutions were involved, and Bharat Biotech, which is in the news presently, they were the ones who sort of created it. So it is a public-private partnership. Then the most important part is that these partnerships, I think there are 2 points I like to make, like the New Millennium Indian Technology Leadership Initiative that I had, where, I mean, we did it in year 2000, where we created products which were not gondolas. And I'm a 10x guy, 10 times better than the rest of the world, 10 times cheaper. Like BioSuit that we did, 19 laboratories partnering with TCS, basically, and whereas we were zero in bioinformatics, we created something that was superior to the rest of the world. So that was a public-private partnership. I think what is very important is also to not only create those products, but then there have to be uh, public procurement policies and support, etc., to take them forward. Because what I'm worried about, just as PPEs we talk about today, and then we became sort of self-sufficient. Today we talk about, for example, APIs, and we are worried about APIs. But you know what is likely to happen when we go for electric vehicles? These are all lithium-ion batteries. They require cobalt. Cobalt is coming from Congo, which is a rogue country. Lithium, all mines have been captured by sort of China. We have to be alternative. And alternatives have been developed in terms of fuel cells in the same military program. And they're better than Ballard. This is Dr. Ashish Tele from National Technical Corporation. So we have the technology. But in order that it moves forward, the power should come in. Like we have 600,000 towers, right? They are burning diesel, diesel generating sets, for example, on standby emergency. Why? The policy shift to back up the technology that has been developed by public-private partnership. So let me summarize them. I've taken time, but
no, sir, we've understood completely with examples, so it's clear.
So not two pillars of buy and make, but buy, make better.
Buy to make better, make
and
to buy.
Better. These are the strategies.
Absolutely, okay. Sir. So even I've understood it, so I think the whole industry will get it crystal clear now. Thank you so much. So we've heard a lot about Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Awards. I believe this is in the 10th year now. Can you tell us something about this and what really made you start these awards?
Well, my mother always used to say, you're a scientist, do science that works for the poor. I mean, as simple as that. And therefore, I created Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation.
Yes, yes.
Including the poorest of the poor. And, because making high technology work for the rich is very easy. Making low technology work for the poor is very easy. Making high technology work for the poor is very difficult. So we wanted to reward such people. And we created technology. Like last year's winner was Bandicoot, who has created robots which will do the manhole cleaning.
Yes.
Rather than, the manual scavengers who do not have dignity, who don't have respect, whose lives are endangered. Some of them live up to only 30 years and so on and so forth. This is a technology which is inclusive. And those the same manual scavengers, they don't lose their job. Rather than going down the train, they become robot operators. They are trained as robot operators. Their dignity goes up. Things of that kind. Or, for instance, you look at ECG. One of the awards went to Rahul Rastogi. These are all late 20 guys, by the way. And his father was down with challenge in the heart and so on and so forth. And you go, you lie down, you take ECG. So why does it have to be? And he created something which looks like this. So what you have is basically you put your two thumbs on it for 15 seconds. Then there is a sensor, this is your heart. You put it 15 seconds up, 15 seconds down. And within 3 minutes, if you download an app called Sanket, the ECG comes to you. Fast.
Sanket.
Yeah, that is Sanket. That is the app. And you can buy it on Amazon, by the way. I mean, why do you use that? And what is the implication? Inclusion. If there was an old lady in a remote village, she had pain in the heart, you would have put up in a bullock cart and gone for kilometers. Not necessary. If there is a connectivity, she can do that, or somebody else can do that for her. And within no time, within 3 minutes, that ECG is in the hand of a, let's say, Pune doctor or a. So these are the kinds of award that we have. I'm very happy to say this year's award has been also announced, and 25th August is the deadline. 25th August.
Okay.
Yeah, and one can get the detail by going to my website www.mashelkar.com.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir. So it's about energizing, engaging, and enabling the youth to encourage the entrepreneurship. It comes up with such solutions like the Anjani Mashelkar Reward will become a platform where all the youth can come in and provide their innovations. That's a brilliant initiative, sir. I understand that the startup community rose to the coronavirus pandemic challenge and contributed massively. This is something that is exciting because our young are taking the responsibility for the first time in particular. I understand that the NCL Venture Center that you had created when you were DG really went out of the way. Can you throw some light on that, sir?
Oh, yes. I'm very proud of our young people, and there are large number of sort of technologies that they have developed, whether it is about testing, whether it's about protection gears, whole range of things that they have been able to do. Really rising to the very proud. You asked specifically about NCL Venture Center. Yes, this was created in 2006 actually. V. Premnath. He's a fantastic leader, PhD from MIT, but he's dedicated his life to this venturing and helping the startups. His center has, by the way, that center, when India started awards for the best incubators, it won the best award, the first award, presidential award, by the way. But this time, they really went out of the way. For example, if you see what they have been able to do is phenomenal. They have sort of become the kind of nerve center of the task force for repurposing of drugs, on which India is working, in scanning, tracking, scientific advice. They give you on manufacturability in India, patent barriers, etc. Very critical. Then they have incubated, like you must have heard about my lab, that was India's first indigenous RT PCR kit, which was sort of developed. It was incubated by then this face shield action group, close to a lakh face shields. They have sort of distributed. There are a large number of other COVID-19 related activities that they are doing. So I'm very proud that these young people are also kind of COVID warriors,
Absolutely. And with 50% of the population of India being less than 25, I think we had the numbers itself can do wonders also.
Absolutely.
Yes. Sir, your guru, Professor M.M. Sharma, yesterday we did celebrate Guru Purnima, was interviewed on this series, and his wisdom and advice was simply superb. Would you like to add on to that a lot? He's become a completely viral star, sir. He's got more than 4,500 people who've seen his interview.
Oh, wow. No. What can I do to say anything beyond what Professor M.M. Sharma, my great guru, says? No, I have very little to add. I think all his messages are absolutely right. I fully endorse them. In fact, I watched his interview twice, by the way.
Okay.
And notes, I have them on the other side. No, the only two things I'll add is one of the things that he has greatly emphasized is don't copy or reverse engineer. Create something first to the world, novel, new, etc. What I want to say is that we are capable of doing them. So I will give you an example sort of on that. For example, in 1989, I took over as the director of National Chemical Laboratory. The problem there was in 1989, this was 2 years before liberalization. So we were used to import substitution, copying, reverse engineering. And anytime we did anything which was ahead of the rest of the world, and I went to Indian industry, they will say, but have they done it? That confidence, Atmavishwas was not there. No, that's why I say Atmanirbhar with Atmavishwas. So what I said, where am I selling knowledge? What is my marketplace? The whole world. Why just India? And on the very first day, when I addressed my colleagues, I said, let National Chemical Laboratory be international chemical. And I remember saying that GE, I'm a polymer science and engineering scientist. So I was reading something about them, and I said we should be able to export to GE also. And I remember one young person came to me and he said, "Sir, you know what you are talking about, because his R&D budget is 2.5 times India's R&D budget.
Yeah.
Not the power of the budget, it's the power of idea that matters." Okay? And we actually, in 1989, I said that in 1991, 3 of our US patents were licensed to for close to $1 million. That was the reverse transfer. The same people who are doing copying reverse engineering, the moment you gave them a challenge, they sort of came good. So we can do that. I think the point I'm trying to make is that one can do that. And I'm very also proud to say that in 1989, I said National Chemical Laboratory will also become knowledge-based consultants. I remember Chinese institutions, you know, 2 of them, chemical research institutions, Nanjing and Suzhou. There is a World Bank tender on consulting them so that they can be made into better performance-driven development. And I remember we bid for it and beat, if I remember correctly, Arthur Gleason, Tail Systems, International Development Panels from US, and won it, actually. And I remember the mayoress of Nanjing had held sort of a dinner in our honor, and she told me, I want my laboratories to become as good as national.
Oh, okay.
21 years ago. Now they, of course, gone much ahead. But the point, the reason I mentioned these 2 points, to supplement what Professor Sharma said, is that yes, we can, provided we have Atmanirbhar.
Atmanirbhar. Absolutely, sir. I think the two make the right combination.
Yeah.
So the worst disaster ever in the Indian history was the Bhopal disaster. I was still in school that time, where there were over 3,000 people that died overnight. You were appointed as the technical assessor of one-man inquiry commission, and later the accident of the MGCC in the Nagothane, where 30 people died, 34, I think. You were appointed the chairman of the inquiry committee by the Prime Minister then. Can you tell us about what caused the accident and what were the lessons, especially in the light of the recent styrene leak?
Oh, yes. I remember when that accident took place, I was called because whereas 26 tons had leaked out and thousands of people died and some of them are still suffering, there was MIC in the other storage tank, and what to do with it? Was it a ticking ban? So we had to take a decision on how to do that. So I was involved in that task force. But later on, the government appointed me as a technical assessor for the Income Commission. I was barely 42 then, I remember. So for a young man, it was a big challenge. But I think the basic point I want to make is that 95% of the time, these are human errors. Here also, there was a human error. And while doing the washing of pipe, as a matter of fact, because of certain mistakes that were made, 500 liters of water went into the MIC tank. That was 6 tons of MIC. Now, if 500 liter water went, nothing would have happened because MIC is CS3NCO, water is H2O. The two would have reacted with ethylamine and carbon dioxide would have come. Why should MIC come? The reason, and we did detailed analysis, modeling, simulation of the, we found 19 reactions had taken place because we cut the tank, looked at the residues and so on and so forth, and reconstructed the whole thing. And what had happened was that the tank wall was corroded. So FeCl3 is a catalyst for trimerization, 3 molecules combined of MIC, and when trimerization takes place, the heat is 59 kilocalorie per mole. And you can imagine a tank which is buried, and there's a sort of heat that is generated. So it is like a thermal bomb, and accelerates. That is how the pressure was built at 40 psi, wall sort of gave away, and 20 plus tons were leaked out, and that is how the big accident took place. But that also showed that there can't be sabotage. That the tank was not clean for 10 years, basically. That means nobody would have known that there is a catalyst sitting inside, efficiently because of the corroded wall, because that was a sort of bad practice, of course. So there is nothing like a sabotage. It was a human error that way. NGCC also says in Master Gas Chemical Complex. Can't get into detail, but there's a detailed report that we had, again using very powerful sort of technique. And the styrene accident that you talked about, once again, storage. You know, MIC, for example, in the West Virginia plant of union carbide, it was not stored. It was made continuously. There was no inventory. Two big storages of such materials which are prone to polymerization or whatever, then you create problems. So that's what happened with styrene, because 18 tons were stored. There is, of course, an inhibitor, paratertiary catechol that you basically put in. But there are issues connected with that big storage for a long time. That actually created the problem. So there are lessons that we have to learn from this. We have to go for advanced automation. At the same time, training of operators, people, and everyone connected is very, very critical.
Absolutely. And adherence to the policies and the procedures and the SOPs, especially in the companies that are dealing with hazardous chemicals, that is a must. I mean, that there is no compromise on that at all. Thank you for sharing that, sir. So COVID-19 has caused huge amount of disaster. Any lessons on the positive side that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I think every adversity gives an opportunity. I think the first thing that has happened is what you and I are doing now, basically. Yes. Talking from your home, and I'm talking from. So working from home has become sort of a kind of an interesting norm. And when we resume activities, there are a number of companies who will say, why do you have to come and work in the office? You can work from home. And some of them will have 30%, 50%, 70% people working from home. And that, as I said always, digitalization, decentralization, and decarbonization, they are linked. So therefore, like my friend Ravi Pandit was telling me, that I transport thousands of people by bus every day. And he's, of course, in software and software services. Why should I do that? Because I'm burning diesel, I'm creating carbon footprint, I'm wasting 3 hours of their time in transit. They can be far more efficient. So I think that is one work from home point. That's the time. Digital learning, you're always talking about digital learning. But suddenly, within 3 months, 160 crore children from around the world were thrown into from distance learning. So there is a big acceleration, I would say. Telemedicine, for example. You don't have to go all the way to the doctor, dispensary, and so on. But most of these things can be done by telemedicine, by advice and exchange of data and X-rays and so on and so forth. And you can receive advice of them. So telemedicine has moved very fast. In fact, in Britain, they say what Britain would have done in 10 years in telemedicine, they have done in 10 days.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the advantage, particularly in a country like India, with the number of doctors per 1,000 population so small. It is one of the best in the world. So this way. Online commerce, for example, all of us would go all the way, etc., etc. We don't have to do that, and so on. So what has happened is that this digitalization, decentralization, leading to decarbonization, I would say, is one of the biggest gains of this unfortunate disaster.
So there is the silver lining, at least outside this dark cloud. So the economic recovery is going to be very slow, is going to be painful. All of us has absolutely accepted that. Do you think the challenge of green growth will move to growth by passing or postponing all the environmental concerns?
We should never do that, because we have to be good and green and good. Basically, one without the other will not do. The long-term consequences of that will be tremendous. As you know, just as we have the pandemic and disastrous effects, I think pandemic has given us a trailer of what happened of the climate change. Same disruption in supply chains, this, that, and the other will happen. So we can't take a chance. We have to go good and green. And I saw a very interesting report by McKinsey on the other day, where they have shown, for example, one of the components is renewable energy. And they have shown the number of jobs that renewable energy creates is far more than what conventional energy creates, basically.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay.
the two can go together. I have sort of no issue, and they must.
They must, yes. We should not take a short-term knee-jerk reaction. It should be well thought of in terms of our future generations. Yes, sir. Thank you for your guidance. So coming to my favorite, your book, The Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting, was declared as the best business book of 2019. It is so heartwarming. There you have given a new message to the industry to raise the aspirations and to pole vault to a great future. You have a reputation of being a dangerous optimistic, so I'm aware about that. But what would be your final message to the Indian industry?
Oh, yeah, I must show the book. Just a second.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sitting in my
Library, it looks like a wealth of knowledge behind you, sir.
So this is the book, Leapfrogging to Pole Vaulting.
Beautiful.
I've co-authored with Ravi Pandit, my friend. And see the basic message. I'll tell you where it was inspired.
Okay.
I checked Reliance Innovation Council, and Mukesh Bhai and I have many discussions. And you see, Mukesh Bhai to me is one of the greatest pole vaulter leader in the world. You have seen even during the COVID times what Joe has been able to do. It's phenomenal.
11 conglomerate deals in a matter of 3 months and making him completely debt free. He's broken his own target only.
That is pole vaulting. Pole vault. So I was talking to him, and I remember we talked about leapfrogging to pole vaulting, and I told him, leapfrogging, the science of leapfrogging is the frog is afraid of the predator, afraid of the enemy. That's why he jumps a few feet. Why should that be? We should do pole vault. The size of the pole determines the size of our aspiration and how far you can basically go. So we after that discussion, we got into action, because as far as Mukesh Bhai is concerned, it's not just idea, action. So we create a program called Beyonders. Select leaders who are capable of thinking beyond the realms of possibility, German's grand challenges, and a whole range of things sort of did in and that led to this particular book. So the main point I want to sort of emphasize is the size of aspiration will determine how far you can go. Let's keep our aspirations high, because our aspirations are our possibilities. And I'm very happy that book is having a big impact, apart from the best business book of the year, in terms of messaging. I was very pleasantly surprised when Chief of Defense Staff on the other day, General Rawat, on 26th May, if I remember correctly, there on the YouTube, his interview, where he said, a couple of days ago, I read Mashelkar's book, talking to PoleVault, and that's what we need to do. It cannot be business as usual, and so on and so forth. So I think, despite whatever has happened, all these adversities, we have to convert them into opportunities, and V-shaped recovery is entirely possible. It doesn't have to be U-shaped. It doesn't have to be L-shaped. If we have that aspiration, we can pole vault to a great future and put India where it belongs, right up the top in the community of nations.
Absolutely, sir. Is this book available on the e-commerce site, sir?
Yeah. Amazon, and you can.
Everyone is available. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people who have not yet read it will love to have their hands on it, since they will have the time during this probably staying at home. Sir, I can't thank you enough for the in-depth interview. You've given us so many examples. Your life is so rich with the experiences yourself and the curiosity-fueled exertion. You know the way, you go the way, and today, sir, you have shown us all the way. Our viewers and industry colleagues will find huge value in your advice and guidance through the crisis. We look forward to see you again very soon, sir. And until then, we take your blessings. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate a lot.
Thank you, Nidhi. It has been great being. Please continue this very inspiring work that you are doing. All of choices, blessings are with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.